makes Toxys the NAMS company. From the start on, Toxys has always been about developing in vitro models or cell-based assays to study the safety of new pharmaceuticals, new chemicals, to investigate the safety of chemicals to humans. And we've been doing that by building in vitro models as an alternative maybe to in vivo testing, to understand when, why and how chemicals are toxic to humans. So over the last decade we have developed a range of in vitro systems that are unique and that we can apply to understand something about the toxicity of chemicals. And so in the last number of years, these new methods, these new approaches have been collected under the term new approach methodologies, or some people refer to them as non-animal models, or but it's very well defined. What we have been doing for the last, let's say, more than 10 years is using the expertise that we have on cell biology to build smart systems to predict how humans will respond to chemical exposure. So the contribution of Toxys is that we make these assays available to everyone who's interested, and we've been applying these in collaboration with the industry to safeguard the human safety of their new products. So the assays that we have developed are applied by the industry to build their safety dossiers that go to regulatory agencies to support the evidence that compounds are safe to humans or have hazards but that are controllable, or they simply describe the hazards of a substance. So the data that we produce are used directly into the files that go to the regulatory agencies. And of course, one of the contributions is also that in some cases the information that is used to prevent or reduce the number of animal tests that are required. Because ultimately that's the mission of the company, is to see if we can bring those in vitro models to a level where they might form a real alternative to animal testing. Yeah, so genetic toxicology to Toxys and also to me personally is an area that is close to the heart. This is where my personal background is. Genetic toxicology is also the area where Toxys started. The whole company started with the assay that is now known as ToxTracker, which is an assay to predict genotoxicity. So it's really in the field of genetic toxicology where this finds its application. And it's a field that is well known to us. We have been collaborating with companies as well as research institutes all over the world to provide help, solutions, understanding to the area of genetic toxicology. I believe that we have a lot of contacts, friendships in this area, and it has been essential to the start of Toxys. This is where our roots are. And this is also the area where we continue to make, I think, a lot of impact. But over the years, Toxys has also developed assays in other areas. So, of course, we have expanded our knowledge in areas where we believe that our expertise can also be applicable to developmental toxicity or investigational mechanistic toxicity testing. But genetic toxicology also personally is close to the heart. So it's so it will always be important and special to Toxys. Ever since the company started, my personal drive was always to bring scientific expertise to an application. I truly believe that with the current scientific developments, that these really bring a good alternative in many cases to animal testing. I think the modern in vitro models and maybe also in silico models are often much smarter than simply injecting something into an animal and see what happens. So I really genuinely believe that using scientific expertise we can really progress the field, and so that has been the driver from the start, and it still does, and I think also the reality shows that it does. Some of our assays, I think the best example is Tox Tracker, assay that is most advantageous for genetic toxicology, getting more and more closer to really being part of the regulatory framework. You already see that information from this assay does a fantastic job in predicting in vivo, but also maybe human effects. And so my personal driver is really to develop those models, get them into use, and to really start using them as an alternative to animal testing. Primarily because I truly believe that the science is there. So that has been the motivator from the start, and will continue to do so at least as long as I can. So there are of course cases where safety assessment of a new product is not so much focused on protecting a large population, but where testing is simply to confirm some of the hazards. If you, for instance, think about drugs that are developed for oncology, so anti-cancer drugs, they are almost always inherently dangerous, and then the safety testing that is required is limited, and this is more about characterization of the reactivity for classification and labeling. Same holds true for approaches that use, for instance, targeted protein degradation, often associated with some developmental toxicity. And so then NAMs can be a really valuable tool to kind of confirm that effect and maybe show something about their potency, rather than running a full 2-generation animal study to confirm that indeed the compound is causing developmental toxicity. So so NAMs have definitely a wider application than only looking for the safety. It's also the characterization, the mechanistic information that you gain from these assays that can help to, I guess, assess in vivo effect, but also simply for classification, selection of products. So yeah, they are definitely broader than only tools for toxicology.